Join Dallas. This is an awesome, awesome event, and I'm so very privileged to be here today. Vanessa Howe from Springfield, Missouri. I joined Nerium a little over a year ago, and it was about that time when I was here in Dallas at a much smaller venue, listening to Craig and Shane tell their story. And I sat in the audience and thought, you know, I'm a mother of 3 children, I have a full-time job in real estate, and I'm doing Nerium. But this might be something I might want to look into. I've never really been involved in any community service work. However, I have done, you know, the PTA and the Booster Club and all that for my children. So I felt like since my kids were getting a little older, I could maybe start thinking about this opportunity. So I went back to Springfield. I almost said my hometown of Billings, Montana. I went back to Springfield and went ahead and applied and went and met with the caseworker and filled out my application. It was an awesome experience sitting there, but they ask you some very personal questions. And I was sitting there with the caseworker and I started to tear up. And she said, "Are you going to be okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm nervous because I'm afraid that this little person is going to come into my life and I'm going to get really attached to them. And I just wasn't sure how this was going to affect me." But I went forward with the application and I got accepted. When I got accepted, it was like getting a letter. I got a letter in the mail saying, "Congratulations, you are now a big sister." It was like getting that college application acceptance letter in the mail. I was so excited. So that was right after Christmas last year, and it took 3 months to get my little. For those of you that don't know about the program, how it works is the women get the little girls usually, and the men get the boys. However, there's a huge need for the men out there because more women are volunteering for the program. So they called me and said, "We have this adorable little boy named Diego, and we think he'd be a great match for you. Since you've raised 2 boys yourself, we feel like a boy would be a good match for your little." So in March, I started to hang out with Diego. I started as a lunch buddy. And again, as you've heard from several of the speakers prior to me, a lot of us are busy. 3 kids, a granddaughter, and 2 careers. I am too busy, but I can tell you, I'm never too busy to give my little 30 minutes a week of my time. So, yes. And I do challenge you, 30 minutes is an easy, easy commitment to just be a lunch buddy if you don't want to do a full-time gig. So Diego and I started hanging out, having lunch together, and we were just getting to know each other, and I always have his lunch with him, so eating at the school lunch is a great experience, I must say. We need to change that program next. And so if Diego wants 2 tater tots and 2 corns, Vanessa has 2 tater tots and 2 corns. And we eat lunch together and read books. And so I was asking a bunch of questions to him and kind of to get to know him. He had just turned 6, so I said to him, "So what'd you get for your birthday, Diego?" And he's like, "I got a bat." Baseball is his very favorite sport. So I said, "Isn't that awesome? You got to play baseball with your brothers and your sister in the backyard?" And he said, "Nope, we didn't get to play baseball." And I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Because I didn't have a ball." And I thought to myself, how does somebody get a bat and not get the ball? So kind of filed that in the back of my brain. Next week I go, and it was the week after Easter. "So Diego, what did the Easter Bunny bring you? Did you get some fun candy?" "No, Easter Bunny doesn't come to our house." Diego lives in a house with his mom, who's 25, and 3 siblings. 9, Diego's 6, 5, and 3. So they have a full house there. And a little while later, a couple weeks, lost a tooth. I said, "So what'd you get from the Tooth Fairy?" Tooth Fairy doesn't come to our house. Very quickly, I started to realize I needed to tone back my questions and let Diego tell me more and me not ask. And I realized that I was brought into his life for a purpose. So it was getting toward the end of school, and Diego, at that point, we were going to kind of maybe take the summer off, and he said, "Now, Vanessa, what are we going to do this summer? I love to go swimming." And I hadn't really thought about really stepping to that next level of really being a full-time big. But his sister's in the program, so he knows about the program, and at that point, I couldn't say no. So this summer, we've been hanging out. My granddaughter's 5, and I take Diego and my granddaughter swimming. I taught them both how to dive off the diving board 2 weeks ago, and that meant I went in too. We've gone to the water parks. We've gone out for dinner. One night we went out for dinner with my husband, and Diego said, "Yeah, Taco Bell, that's his place." I said, no, we're going to go out to a nice dinner. So we went to Applebee's. And he ordered his grilled cheese, and we had queso dip, and he was eating. He was very, very well-mannered, eating very politely, but he was really shoveling that food in. And he looks over at my husband, and he said, Todd, you got shrimp. Todd's like, do you like shrimp, Diego? I love shrimp. Well, would you like some? That would be awesome. So Diego ate all of Todd's shrimp. And he ate all the cheese queso dip. And he ate all his grilled cheese and french fries. About that time, I told him, Diego, you've got this huge Cookie Monster dessert I ordered for you. You probably better to slow down a little. What did you have for lunch? He said, I didn't eat any lunch, Vanessa. And I said, well, what did you have for breakfast? I haven't had any breakfast today. Okay, Diego, what have you had to eat? Surely you've had something today. Nope, I haven't eaten all day. And that was at 6 o'clock at night. And my heart just broke because he's been hungry all day. So every time I pick him up, the first thing we do is go to Brahms and get a strawberry shake, hamburger, fries, whatever his choice is, because usually when I get him, he has not had much to eat. Another experience that we had, I was with my son. I'm sorry, I just completely got sidetracked. I was with my son last week, and Diego's family had to move in with another household, so they are all a bunch of people in one little small house. And he's always very well-mannered, and I asked him, I said, Diego, is there room for you guys all to sleep at that house? And he said, oh, there's room. And I said, well, where are you sleeping? And he said, well, it's all okay except the fact that I don't like where I sleep. And I said, well, where are you sleeping? He said, I'm sleeping on the floor with a pillow and a blanket. And I said, well, is it comfortable? And he said, no, it's very, very uncomfortable. And they're going to be there for 2 months. And so I asked him, do you have any air mattresses? And he didn't know what an air mattress was. So next week I'll be going to Walmart and bringing some air mattresses to the house so they'll have a place to sleep. But my 16-year-old son was with me, and that was the first time that he had been around Diego. And we got in the car after we dropped him off. Of course, we're in the 2-door convertible with the top down. And we dropped him off at his house, and my son just looked at me, and he said, Mom, I have everything. And I said, yes, Mason, you do have everything. I didn't have to even say anything to him. He got it. And then he said, you are going to change Diego's life. And to come from a 16-year-old son, that's a very profound statement. So I'm here to tell you today that Diego is changing my life. I am busy, but I absolutely adore this boy. Every time I pick him up, he comes up and it's hugs and kisses. His little brothers are coming up to me. It's hugs and kisses. It's going to be hard to turn down all 3 of them eventually because we just want to throw them all in our car and take them with us. But it's been an amazing experience. In our town of about 400,000 people, we have a waiting list of 60 little boys waiting for their big. And that's in a very, very small town. So I challenge all of you for 30 minutes a week to be a lunch buddy. And I especially put the challenge out to all you guys because these little boys need to have us in their lives. Thank you so much for letting me speak today.